So I fired myself from the two most important roles in my business and therefore made $500,000 more. Who would have guessed? My name is Ivan and I'm co-founder of Pareto Talent. We are focusing on helping entrepreneurs to free up their time by empowering them to delegate to our trained executive assistants. In the very beginning, we launched Pareto Talent as a bootstrap company. So it was just 3 founders and a big dream of helping entrepreneurs to stop being assistants. And you know what's the biggest irony of all of that? I was the biggest assistant out of all of them. So I was the one doing everything in our business. I was the one doing the intake with the clients, doing the initial discovery and the strategy call with them. I was the one training all of the assistants, doing all of the interviews, and then trying to puzzle out what assistant would suit well with what entrepreneur. That was before we having our proprietary AI matching and having our personality test. Right now it's like much more optimized, but in the beginning it was a big struggle. And here's what I thought to myself and what I know a lot of entrepreneurs think on ongoing basis because I speak with them, is that I'm the only one to have enough expertise to do these things. So who else would be able to present my offer the way I presented? Who else would have understand the entrepreneur struggles the way I understand them? Because I was on both sides. I was executive assistant and I'm entrepreneur right now. So I know the struggle that entrepreneurs go through and I know what executive assistants are looking for and like what kind of support they need in order to perform well. So the first decision of firing myself came when I realized that I won't be able to scale the business. I won't be able to have 20 discovery calls and 20 interviews with EAs in the same time and try to remember all of the names and do all of this. So I decided to focus on hiring the client manager, or as we call them, talent success manager in Pareto Talent. I went ahead and started documenting everything that I'm doing, starting to understand what are the processes and SOPs involved in the process. This is exactly what I recommend you to do right now. If you're considering firing yourself from one of the roles that you're performing in your business, which again probably stopping your business from growing, start documenting the things that you are doing right now. Imagine that you are literally being fired by yourself. You need to leave an SOP and offboarding documents to somebody else who will come in, and this is exactly how you empower strong delegation. You prepare materials and the training resources for this person, and then once they jump in your business, you go ahead and provide them with a supportive hand. So similar as you would do with literal employee that you're firing, they would do usually 2-week transition where they help the new hire to understand the processes that were involved. Start by doing that. So this is exactly what I jumped into. I started documenting the logic behind how I was matching entrepreneurs and executive assistants, and then I started building the check-in cadence, like how frequently we need to meet with entrepreneurs in order to ensure that they have the support they need, and how frequently we need to meet with executive assistants. Guess what I realized? I wasn't the only one to be able to do that. I was fortunate enough to find a very talented person who had HR experience before. Her name is Marika. She's working with us for almost a year and a half at this point, and she was able to understand what I was doing and bring an extra expertise from her side in order to do it even better than I. This is what we as entrepreneurs get wrong, is that we think that we are like these only like geniuses that can figure this stuff out. That's totally not true. While no one else will be able to do things as well as you do, they will be able to bring something else that you don't have. So you should be seeking for the people that are different, that are not the exact copy of you, that can bring something else to the table. So that was the first time I fired myself and understood that empowering delegation is the strong suit, because then we went ahead and I was able to do much more sales calls than I was able to do before. Because previously, whenever I was doing sales calls, I was thinking to myself that, hey, like this person that I'm having a call right now with, I will need to onboard, I will need to go through all of the like other things that are involved in the service delivery. And I realized it later, I was kind of sabotaging myself a bit. So whenever I was like way too busy, I kind of wished that they wouldn't show up on the call, so I won't have to go through all of that and actually like deliver this service. Next thing I've done, and this was a few months later, I fired myself from the sales. That was the hardest, I would say, impossible firing. Any business owner watching this knows that like sales is the most like crucial part of the business and the most sensitive, because no one will be able to have the same empathy to your client as the actual like business owner, as the person who developed the offer, developed the product. No one will be able to explain the product as well. No one will be able to handle objections as well. You see, in Pareto Talent, the sales call, as like usually people call it sales call, is not really a sales call. It's more like a strategical discovery call where we try to understand if you really will benefit from executive assistant in the first place and how you should start offloading your tasks, how you should start delegating them. And I thought in order to like deliver that, you need to have all of this technical knowledge knowledge on all of the different tasks, all of the different automation tools, all of the different AI tools in order to show entrepreneurs how to benefit from them. But I was that wrong. You see, when you have a very strong offer, your product will speak for itself. All you need to do is just to guide the person through what you got and discover if you actually have the real problem to solve for them. Because if you are focusing on just like some sales tricks and stuff like that, probably again it works on some products, but in our case, like we don't even need to do that because the person coming to us was already aware that they have some problem, that they need more time. That's why they booked the call in the first place. So the transition out of that role became much easier once I finally understood that. So what I did is that I finalized the deck that we had. I then hired a person that had some prior sales experience. I had them shadow me on all of these initial sales calls to ensure that this person understands my approach and the brand voice that I wanted them to carry. Because the first person your client sees is your salesperson. You want to ensure that this person can represent your brand, can represent your values and the offer well enough so the client will have a good experience on the first contact with your brand. Once I was able to extract myself from that role, to fire myself from that role, I now was in position to not spend 60, 70, 80 hours a week on the business, but start working on actually developing it, on actually growing extra aspects of it. I was able to then put blocks on my calendar. I now do only 3 hours of calls a day. Everything else is blocked and no one else can get on this day. And I went ahead and blocked my Thursday completely because I can afford that. I don't have to have all of my days and all of my times open for the sales calls or the client calls, because usually as a business owner, especially as a solopreneur, you are considering, hey, like I want this person to choose the time that works for them. I don't want them to have just like 3 slots on my calendar per like week. And therefore you start and open this up, and if you have your calendar open, everyone will book on that. That's the problem with all of that. So you want to again put the blocks on that and ensure that you act as the actual CEO, not as an assistant or a salesperson or a client manager. And once you do that, you then will be able to start building features, building apps, building offers, building promotional materials, doing marketing, doing other things for your business that it desperately needs you in. Because if you only do the operations, the admin, the support, keeping business alive sort of tasks, you won't be able to grow it. So that's why you need to fire yourself from this role and act as an actual owner and the founder of your business. Do me a favor and think about what are the roles in your business that you desperately need to fire yourself from. Go ahead and share them in the comments. I bet there will be like 5 comments that will mention the same roles over and over again. So if you see one of them, just jump in and share your perspective on that. If you do fire yourself from one of these roles, please share as well. I would love to hear that. And if you're ready to fire yourself from your inbox, calendar, from the project management and tasks like that, jump on a quick strategy call with us, with Pareto Talent, and we'll be happy to show you exactly how you can delegate these items out, and we'll be able to match you with a trained and vetted executive assistant that went through our extensive training, and they will be able to take these tasks away from you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you found this helpful, please subscribe, and I'm seeing you in the next one.